For over a century, Case has built tractors that weren't just machines, they were partners in the field. Some pulled more than expected. Some lasted longer than anyone thought possible. But all of them earned a place in history. These are the 12 best Case tractors ever made, the ones that got the job done, day after day, year after year. Number 12. Case IH695. At a time when small farms needed affordable power and big operations needed dependable backup, the Case IH695 stepped in with quiet confidence. Introduced in the late 1980s, this tractor didn't make waves for being oversized or overbuilt. It earned its reputation by being exactly what the work required. No more, no less. Built during a period of transition for Case 1H, just after the merger of International Harvester and JI Case, the 695 became one of the first tractors to blend proven mechanical strength with a streamlined, modern profile. What made it especially valuable to farmers was its simplicity. The 695 didn't overwhelm operators with unnecessary electronics or gimmicks. It focused instead on straightforward operation and solid mechanical durability, which made it a favorite among those who just wanted a tractor that could be fixed with a wrench, not a laptop. For many, this was the machine that took over where older IH models left off. Strong enough to pull a loaded trailer, nimble enough to handle loader work, and efficient enough to make long days feel manageable. Under the hood, the 695 was powered by a reliable 4-cylinder diesel engine that delivered a satisfying mix of torque and fuel economy. Displacement measured 3,929 cubic centimeters, equal to 240 cubic inches, giving it just enough capacity to manage tough work without burning through fuel unnecessarily. For operators balancing tight margins and long seasons, this balance was more than welcome. It was essential. The rated output hovered around 73 horsepower, but what mattered more was how the power arrived. The engine delivered steady, manageable thrust, perfect for pulling implements like balers, harrows, or sprayers, without bogging down or spinning out. In real-world conditions, it didn't feel underpowered. It felt right-sized, strong enough to keep up with the work, yet never heavy-handed. Equally impressive was its torque output, which reached a peak of around 182 pound-feet. That number alone made it a dependable choice for mid-duty hauling, especially when navigating hilly terrain or soft ground. Operators quickly learned to trust that torque when climbing grades or starting from a standstill under load. The top speed sat just over 19 miles per hour, which meant it could transition smoothly between barnyards, paddocks, and field edges without wasting time. With a transmission that offered 8 forward and 4 reverse gears, the 695 gave drivers enough control to match speed to task without overcomplicating the experience. Where the Case IH695 truly shined, though, was in its consistency. It started on cold mornings. It pulled when asked. It didn't complain in the heat, and it rarely needed more than routine service to keep going. In an age where reliability is sometimes sacrificed for features, this tractor stood for the opposite. Number 11. Case IH 1494. The Case IH 1494 came from a time when strength, simplicity, and straightforward engineering defined what made a tractor great. Built during the mid-1980s, this model carried the legacy of David Brown, designed under the Case 1H name, blending British-built durability with American expectations for performance in the field. What gave the 1494 its edge was not flashy technology or bold styling, but something far more valuable in the form of balance. It offered just the right mix of power, weight, and drivability for small to medium-sized farms, making it an appealing option for those who needed one machine to do many jobs. Whether it was pulling hay equipment, running grain augers, or working livestock chores, this tractor showed up and pulled through with quiet determination. At the heart of the machine was a rugged 4-cylinder diesel engine that had already proven itself in earlier models. Displacement measured 4,448 cubic centimeters, which equals 271 cubic inches, giving it the kind of breathing room needed to handle heavy loads without stressing the block. The engine's steady rhythm and fuel-efficient operation made it a smart choice for long days where every gallon counted. The rated power output stood around 85 horsepower, a figure that sat right in the sweet spot for utility work. But this number only told part of the story. What mattered more was how the 1494 delivered its power, with a smooth, linear response that made it easy to control in tight quarters or uneven terrain. Operators quickly grew to appreciate the lack of drama and the predictability it brought to daily work. Moving on to torque, the engine delivered a peak of about 215 pound-feet, enough to manage stop-and-go tasks like loader work or pulling uphill with a trailer full of feed. In real-world use, it rarely stumbled under pressure, and that reliable torque curve made it an excellent choice for farms with varied workloads. As for movement across the field, the top speed came in at just above 19 miles per hour, allowing it to cover ground efficiently without pushing the limits of control or comfort. A 12-speed transmission combined with a mechanical shuttle gave the 1494 surprising versatility for its class, allowing smooth transitions between tasks and terrains. Where this tractor truly earned its reputation, though, was in the stories told by the people who ran them. They remember engines that fired up on cold mornings, gearboxes that outlasted expectations, and a machine that seemed to ask very little while delivering a whole lot. The Case IH 1494 wasn't built to impress with numbers. It was built to work, and it proved that the right kind of simplicity never goes out of style. Number 10. Case IH 885. Introduced in the mid-1980s, this model was part of the same International Harvester lineage that shaped decades of reliable diesel power, but now carried forward under the Case YH banner, with thoughtful refinements. Its greatest strength wasn't brute horsepower or futuristic styling, it was trust. Farmers relied on the 885 for jobs that demanded consistency, pulling seeders in the spring, hauling wagons in the fall, and handling front-end loaders all year long. Whether running in tight orchard rows or open pasture land, this tractor adapted without fuss, and that versatility helped cement its place in thousands of barns across the globe. Powering the 885 was a proven 3-cylinder diesel engine designed for economy and longevity. Displacement measured 3,935 cubic centimeters, or 240 cubic inches, giving the tractor just the right size to balance weight and output. For farmers used to running small fleets, it was the kind of engine that fit easily into a workday, and even easier into a maintenance routine. As far as power, the rated engine output was around 70 horsepower. While that number may sound modest on paper, it came with a smooth delivery that made light tillage and hay work feel effortless. This wasn't a machine built for flash. It was built to make the work disappear beneath your boots, one reliable pass at a time. What truly gave the 885 its real-world strength was torque. The engine delivered a solid 169 pound-feet, a figure that gave it just the low-end grunt needed for loader jobs, slow-speed towing, and getting out of soft ground without complaint. Many operators noted how it handled loads that seemed beyond its class, which made it a trusted partner in uneven or unpredictable conditions. On the move, the top speed reached just over 18 miles per hour, a useful pace for short hauls between fields or down rural roads. The transmission offered 8 forward gears and 4 reverse, with optional shuttle versions available for better loader control. That kind of gear flexibility made it easy to adapt the tractor's performance to whatever the day had in store. But what made the Case IH 885 stand out wasn't a single innovation. It was the sum of practical design, smart engineering, and honest durability. This was a tractor that didn't need to be the biggest or the boldest. It just needed to be there when it mattered, and for countless farmers, it always was. That's only the beginning. The next tractors didn't just pull, they pulled Case into history. Hit like if you've run one, subscribe to follow the list, and stay tuned, because the real heavy hitters are still ahead. Number 9. Case IH 2096. By the time the Case IH 2096 rolled onto the scene in the mid-1980s, the days of basic iron were giving way to more refined expectations. Farmers no longer wanted just brute strength. They wanted that power wrapped in a machine that understood long hours, heavy implements, and the value of staying in the seat without needing a chiropractor afterward. That's where the 2096 carved out its legacy, not by being loud, but by doing the hard things quietly and doing them well. What separated this model from its competitors wasn't some headline-grabbing gimmick. It was balanced. It gave medium to large operations just enough power to handle serious field work without jumping into the high-maintenance territory of the big four-wheel drives. It was just as comfortable ripping through tillage work as it was idling in the barnyard, waiting for its next assignment. At its core was a long-stroke 6-cylinder diesel engine built for staying power. Displacement reached 8.3 liters, which equals 505 cubic inches, giving it ample breathing room to handle continuous loads without straining. That displacement wasn't just about size. It meant cooler running, smoother idle, and fewer engine cycles under stress. Its rated output hovered at 110 horsepower, a number that felt perfectly tailored to the demands of the time. Whether pulling a row crop cultivator or a heavy grain drill, the 2096 delivered that power with a steady hand. There was no peaky performance or clunky surges, just smooth, dependable output hour after hour. Torque told another part of the story. With peak figures reaching 315 pound-feet, the tractor had the low-end force to take on uneven ground and wet patches without needing a bailout from the brakes. That consistent pull, especially under heavy draft loads, made it a favorite among operators who didn't have time for second chances. Even on the road, the 2096 held its own. It reached speeds just above 19 miles per hour, fast enough for field-to-farm transitions, but slow enough to stay safe hauling full loads. Its 12 forward gears and 3 reverse, offered through a full power shift transmission, meant it could adapt on the fly, no clutch tapping, no momentum loss. Where this tractor truly earned its place among the greats was in how it behaved when no one was watching. It didn't need pampering, it didn't punish mistakes, and it didn't fall apart after the 5th season. The Case IH 2096 didn't ask for the spotlight, but every time it pulled a field without complaint, it stole it anyway. Number 8. Case IH 1200 Traction King. When the Case IH 1200 Traction King first rolled out in the mid-1960s, it didn't just mark a turning point for Case. It changed the way large-scale farmers thought about traction, torque, and raw pulling strength. This wasn't a slightly improved version of an older model. It was a complete rethinking of what a tractor could be. With 4 equal-sized wheels, full-time 4-wheel drive, and an aggressive stance, the 1200 was one of the first commercially available articulated tractors in North America. And it wore the Traction King name like a badge of honor, because that's exactly what it was built to be. At a time when most tractors still relied on 2-wheel drive and sheer weight to get the job done, the 1200 introduced a different solution: equal power to all 4 corners. That innovation gave it an enormous edge on soft ground, steep inclines, and freshly tilled fields. Operators quickly discovered that this was no ordinary brute. It was a machine that made hard jobs feel lighter and long days feel shorter, simply by refusing to quit. Beneath its heavy steel hood was a 6-cylinder diesel engine designed for steady, load-bearing performance. Displacement measured 11.1 liters, equal to 678 cubic inches, placing it well into the heavyweight category for its time. Even under full throttle, it never seemed to panic, shudder, or stall. It just pushed forward. In terms of rated output, the 1200 produced around 125 horsepower. That figure, though modest by today's standards, was more than enough to handle the heavy-drawn implements of the era: chisel plows, large drills, and wide-field cultivators. But it wasn't just about pulling power, it was about how smoothly and confidently the tractor delivered it, especially under shifting soil conditions. Where it really stood apart was torque. This machine generated approximately 415 pound-feet, a number that gave it serious low-end muscle and the ability to maintain ground speed under heavy draft loads. Whether breaking untouched prairie soil or dragging a loaded grain cart across muddy fields, the torque curve stayed reliable from start to finish. For transport and general movement, the top speed reached just under 20 miles per hour, which, for a tractor of this size and era, was more than adequate. A 4-speed transmission paired with a dual-range system provided 8 forward and 2 reverse gears, letting operators match ground speed with precision to whatever the day demanded. The Case IH 1200 Traction King didn't just break new ground, it did so literally and figuratively. It set a benchmark for what a 4-wheel drive tractor could accomplish, and even decades later, its influence is still visible in today's high-horsepower giants. This was the tractor that redefined traction, not with empty promises, but with every turn of its articulated frame. Number 7. JI Case 4890. Released in the early 1980s, this 4-wheel drive workhorse wasn't designed for small talk or light duties. It was built for big acre operations, deep tillage, and the kind of non-stop work that would wear out lesser machines. What made the 4890 legendary was its quiet strength and its refusal to back down, no matter how stubborn the soil or how long the day. By this point in the tractor world, Case had already developed a reputation for toughness, but the 4890 raised the bar. Its sheer size and aggressive styling hinted at what lay beneath, but its real power came from more than looks. This machine was about endurance. Day after day, season after season, it didn't care about shine or comfort, it cared about results. Underneath its long frame was a massive 6-cylinder, turbocharged diesel engine developed by Scania, known for its strength and reliability. Displacement came in at 13.9 liters, equal to 850 cubic inches, placing it among the largest engines ever fitted to a Case tractor. That kind of volume wasn't just impressive, it was purposeful. It meant this tractor could dig in and stay there, hauling wide implements through clay-heavy soil without hesitation. Rated power was measured at around 215 horsepower, a figure that spoke directly to large-scale performance. But it was the consistency of that output, even under load, that earned the respect of experienced operators. There was no drama, no drop-off, just steady, confident delivery from the first pass to the last. Even more impressive was its torque curve. The engine produced a peak of nearly 698 pound-feet, giving it a relentless push at low speeds that made it ideal for high drawbar work. Whether it was pulling a 12-bottom plow or managing a massive chisel rig, the 4890 didn't just handle it, it owned it. Despite its size, the tractor could still move efficiently. Its top speed reached just under 22 miles per hour, which gave it the flexibility to transition between distant fields or road hauls when time was short. A 12-speed power shift transmission gave operators complete control over momentum, making gear changes smooth even under stress. The JI case. 4890 was never about cutting corners or flashy upgrades. It was about showing up strong and staying strong. For those who needed unshakable pulling power wrapped in a no-nonsense frame, this tractor delivered without excuses and without fail. Number 6. Case YH 7140. By the early 1990s, the tractor market was flooded with big promises and untested ideas. Farmers wanted more horsepower, better comfort, and machines that didn't fall apart halfway through harvest. Case IH had an answer, and it came in the form of the 7140. This wasn't just another row crop tractor. It was the first of a new generation, the kind that could take on serious acreage, adapt to changing tools, and still keep the operator fresh after a full day in the field. Unlike many machines of its time that were chasing complexity, the 7140 delivered a different kind of progress, reliability wrapped in smart engineering. Part of the groundbreaking Magnum series, introduced in the late 1980s, it quickly became a favorite for both grain and livestock operations. The success of the Magnum line wasn't built on gimmicks. It was earned 1 hour, 1 acre, 1 season at a time, and the 7140 played a major role in that legacy. Tucked beneath its bold red hood was a 6-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine built for endurance. Displacement measured 8.3 liters, equal to 505 cubic inches, giving it both the breathing room and torque profile needed for serious tillage, heavy hauling, and long hours under load. The engine didn't scream for attention, it simply delivered, no matter the task or terrain. As for output, rated horsepower came in at around 170 horsepower, which placed it right in the sweet spot for medium to large farms. Whether pulling a grain cart through soft dirt or powering a wide planter on a tight schedule, it had enough punch to keep up without ever feeling overworked. But power alone wasn't what made it great. It was how it used that power that made the difference. Torque, measured at roughly 560 pound-feet, gave it the consistent pull needed for high drawbar applications, like deep ripping or dissing. That steady low-end force meant fewer shifts, less wheel slip, and more work done with fewer interruptions. It didn't hesitate. It didn't stall. It just kept digging in and moving forward. In terms of road speed, the 7140 topped out around 19 miles per hour, which was perfectly suited for quick transitions between fields or hauling equipment between remote locations. Its full power shift transmission offered 18 forward and 4 reverse gears, allowing for clutch-free shifts and smoother adjustments on the go. The Case IH 7140 wasn't designed to win beauty contests or chase trends. It was made to lead the field, hold the line, and never let its owner down. And for many, it wasn't just a tractor, it was the beginning of a new standard. Number 5. JI Case 1070. In the rapidly evolving tractor market of the early 1970s, manufacturers were racing to pack more horsepower into smaller frames. But Case had a different idea. Instead of overcomplicating things, they focused on refining what farmers already trusted. That philosophy came to life in the JY Case 1070, a tractor that didn't try to impress on the showroom floor, but proved its worth through thousands of hours in the dirt. Built during a time of fierce competition, the 1070 didn't just hold its ground. It cultivated a reputation for strength, simplicity, and endurance. What made this model stand out wasn't just its ability to pull, but its ability to endure. Farmers who ran one remember it as a machine that never complained. Even after long days pulling heavy loads or pushing through tight planting windows, it offered a dependable solution for row crop operations and general farm work with just enough modern features to feel advanced, without losing the mechanical grit that made earlier Case tractors legendary. At the core of its performance, set a turbocharged diesel engine that quickly became one of its defining features. Displacement measured 8.1 liters, which equals 491 cubic inches, giving it the strength to power through stubborn soil and heavy drag without running hot. That size alone ensured it had the stamina for real-world conditions, not just test bench numbers. As for power output, the 1070 delivered around 115 horsepower. It was a number that placed it firmly in the upper middle class of its time, capable of managing larger implements like six-bottom plows or heavy grain drills with confidence. But the secret wasn't in the peak output, it was in the consistency. Power arrived predictably, making the tractor feel manageable and responsive, even for long hours in the field. Torque was where the 1070 flexed its muscle. With figures reaching just over 321 pound-feet, it had the kind of low-end pull that made it ideal for tough, slow-speed applications. Whether it was pulling through muck after a rain or climbing soft slopes with a full load, this case never hesitated. For a tractor of its era, it also offered impressive speed. Its top travel pace hovered around 19 miles per hour, giving it enough mobility to be efficient without sacrificing stability. Combined with the 12-speed Comfort King transmission, which included a torque amplifier, operators could shift smoothly under load, making each gear count where it mattered most. The JI Case 1070 didn't make headlines when it launched. It didn't need to. It made its mark in the fields, in the barns, and on the faces of farmers who knew what a real workhorse looked like. Decades later, it still earns nods of respect because good machines never stop proving themselves. Number 4. JI Case 970. Released in the early 1970s, this machine stepped into a crowded field of contenders, but it didn't need flashy reinvention to prove itself. Instead, it relied on mechanical honesty, well-balanced performance, and a stubborn refusal to quit. For many farmers, the 970 was their first introduction to real diesel muscle, and once they had it, they didn't let it go. The 970 belonged to Case's Comfort King series, and it came at a time when comfort was finally starting to matter as much as capability. Operators who spent 10 or 12 hours in the cab needed more than a bench seat and bare controls. They needed visibility, ventilation, and enough quiet to hear themselves think. Case understood that, and while the 970 didn't sacrifice its rugged nature, it brought an upgraded operator environment that made tough days feel just a little shorter. Driving that reliability was a 6-cylinder diesel engine, naturally aspirated and known for its consistent performance. Displacement was 8.3 liters, which equals 505 cubic inches, giving it the breathing room needed to handle a wide range of field duties without overheating or overworking. It didn't surge with unpredictable power. It responded with steady, measured force that made it a joy to manage across long stretches of tillage. Horsepower came in around 100 horsepower, a round figure that represented more than just pulling strength. It meant the 970 could comfortably handle 5-bottom plows, large discs, and heavy wagons without breaking a sweat. And it did it all while sipping fuel at a pace that made it practical for everyday work, not just special jobs. The torque curve, reaching up to 323 pound-feet, gave the tractor its signature low-end pull. That torque allowed it to power through heavy ground without losing momentum, especially under load at lower speeds. It's the kind of force that farmers noticed not when the tractor was cruising, but when it was working, the moments that really mattered. Out on the road or between fields, the top speed hovered close to 18 miles per hour, which was plenty for hauling implements or livestock trailers without burning daylight. The transmission, a 12-speed manual paired with a dual-range torque amplifier, offered flexibility and field control, while still keeping things simple for the operator. The JI Case 970 didn't make noise to get noticed. It made progress. It just had to be there, ready to go every time the key turned. And that's exactly why it still holds a place in the hearts of those who worked it hard and trusted it more. Number 3, JI Case 930. There are tractors that come and go, and then there are tractors that leave their mark in every field they cross. The JI Case 930 belongs firmly in the second group. First introduced in the early 1960s, this model was part of Case's ambitious 30 series, a lineup that sought to modernize the brand's identity while keeping its reputation for durability fully intact. But the 930 didn't just meet expectations, it quietly set new ones for what a dependable diesel tractor should feel like to own and operate. As farms grew larger and implements became heavier, the demands on row crop tractors increased. Case responded not with excessive complexity, but with a rugged machine that prioritized field strength, operator visibility, and a steady work ethic. The 930 may not have come with all the bells and whistles, but it made up for it with sheer resolve. It became the kind of tractor that didn't need to be pampered or explained, it just worked. Fueling that legacy was a strong 6-cylinder diesel engine designed to deliver under pressure. Displacement measured 6.57 liters, which equals 401 cubic inches, giving the engine the kind of deep-breathing capacity needed to handle long days on heavy soil. Even without turbocharging, the engine provided smooth, reliable power with every pull. The tractor delivered a rated output of approximately 80 horsepower, a number that was ideal for mid-sized operations looking to power 5 bottom plows, forage harvesters, or grain augers. That output didn't come with unnecessary noise or vibration. It arrived with a steady rhythm that let the operator focus on the job instead of the engine. What truly impressed many farmers, though, was how much torque the 930 brought to the table. With figures hovering around 280 pound-feet, the tractor could muscle through low-speed, high-drag conditions without hesitation. Whether pulling a fully loaded hay wagon uphill or grinding through heavy clay, the torque kept the machine moving with confidence. Transport capability was another area where the 930 delivered just enough to be practical. Its top road speed reached about 16 miles per hour, which was more than enough to keep farm operations efficient without adding strain to the frame. The 6-speed transmission with dual range gave operators 12 usable gears, allowing for smooth gear selection and better control across changing terrain. The JI Case 930 wasn't built to impress at auction houses or on spec sheets. It was built for farmers who needed a reliable partner, one that could handle the grit of daily work without asking for much in return. That quiet reliability is what turned this model from a machine into a memory, and why, even now, it remains one of Case's most respected diesel classics. Number 2, JI Case, LA. Introduced in the early 1940s, the LA was born during a time when horsepower was still measured by heart, not sensors, and steel was poured with purpose. It was Case's answer to the growing demand for high-powered row crop tractors that could tackle big fields, pull heavier tools, and work sunup to sundown without complaint. And for its time, nothing quite matched what this machine could do. What set the LA apart wasn't its speed or its comfort, it was its sheer presence. Towering over smaller tractors with its commanding stance and long wheelbase, the LA looked like it meant business. And when it came to working tough Midwestern soils or dragging massive loads through the heat of harvest, it delivered exactly that. It quickly earned a reputation as a no-nonsense giant by being simple, powerful, and incredibly difficult to wear out. At the core of that strength was a massive 4-cylinder engine that could outlast most operators. Displacement came in at 12.05 liters, which equals 735 cubic inches, putting it in a class all its own. This wasn't a fast-revving engine. It was a slow, steady torque producer that ran best when left alone to do what it was built for, pulling hard hour after hour. In terms of horsepower, the LA produced about 51 horsepower at the drawbar. That might seem low by modern standards, but in its era, that kind of output was a big deal, especially when paired with the tractor's incredible weight and traction. Its ability to pull heavy implements like moldboard plows or tandem discs without strain made it a game-changer for larger-scale farming operations. Torque, though not always published in exact numbers at the time, was where the LA truly impressed. With such a large displacement and low RPM operation, it delivered tremendous low-end strength, well beyond what the raw horsepower number suggested. It never needed to race to make progress. It simply leaned into the load and got the job done. On the road or between plots, the tractor could travel up to 12 miles per hour, which was more than enough for a machine of this size. Operators had access to 4 forward speeds and 1 reverse, managed through a simple mechanical transmission that prioritized reliability over refinement. The JI Case LA wasn't flashy, it didn't try to be clever, but for its time, it was bold, oversized, and unwavering in its work ethic. It stood at the edge of modern farming and pointed the way forward, not with talk, but with traction. Number 1, Case I H7250. Not every tractor earns the right to lead a list like this, but the Case I H7250 didn't just earn it, it owned it. Released in the mid-1990s as part of the iconic Magnum series, the 7250 wasn't built to follow trends, it was built to set them. This was a machine designed for serious row crop work, born during a time when farms were expanding, equipment was growing, and downtime was getting more expensive by the hour. In that environment, the 7250 stood out, not with noise or flash, but with absolute performance. The Magnum lineup had already established itself as one of the most respected series in the diesel tractor world. But this model, sitting near the top of that lineup, struck a rare balance between raw strength and long-haul dependability. It was everything a high-horsepower tractor needed to be: tough, responsive, and ready to go the distance without second guesses. At the heart of its capability was a turbocharged 6-cylinder diesel engine built to run under pressure. Displacement measured 8.3 liters, which equals 505 cubic inches, giving it a robust platform to manage both power and fuel efficiency. Even after hours of hard pulling, the engine ran cool, steady, and strong. Rated power was one of its most defining attributes. The 7250 produced around 190 horsepower, giving it more than enough authority to handle large planters, grain carts, and wide tillage tools. But this wasn't brute power that demanded babysitting. It was well-behaved muscle that delivered when you needed it and disappeared into the background when you didn't. Where the 7250 truly excelled, though, was in torque. With a peak output of around 680 pound-feet, it had the kind of pulling strength that made hard jobs feel routine. In sticky fields or under full loads, the tractor simply refused to bog down. It held its pace, kept its grip, and powered through where others hesitated. For transport duties, its top speed reached about 19 miles per hour, making field-to-field transitions smooth and efficient. Operators enjoyed a full power shift transmission with 18 forward and 4 reverse gears, allowing for seamless shifts and reduced operator fatigue, even after long days behind the wheel. The Case IH-7250 didn't arrive to make small talk. It arrived to work. It wasn't just the best in its class. It was the kind of machine that reminded farmers why they chose Case in the first place. This wasn't just a tractor. It was the definition of getting things done. 12 tractors, decades of trust, and one name that kept showing up. Think we missed a classic? Share your pick in the comments. Hit like if you enjoyed the list, and subscribe for more machines that never quit.